We're going to talk about, like I said, how important it is to know your numbers and how to really run your business like a business. When we talk about this, we are focusing on some of the key areas of your life. So, if any of you guys have participated in my goals versus priorities class, this is the one where we're going to talk about money and how money works and all that kind of stuff. If you've not watched that class, I encourage you to head on over to my YouTube channel. It's called Goals versus Priorities, one of my most popular classes. Really helps you learn how to really build a business around your life instead of life around your business, right? We're all kind of in this crazy real estate game where we seem to be constantly chasing our tail, and hopefully that class will help you guys out a bit. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. This is one of my favorite quotes. And I can tell you that really understanding your business can have a huge impact on your level of success and whatever that looks like for you and helping you build that, right? So let's talk about the importance of really knowing your numbers. I can tell you that, first of all, the thing that I love about numbers is it really provides some clarity and structure to your business. Last week, we had one of our guests that was here, who is a former sports athlete, talked about how valuable and how important it was. He was a professional sports athlete and understood the numbers, right? So we decided to kind of dig into that more this week. So I can tell you that for probably the first 10 years of my business and my 10 years of my career, I did not really know my numbers and I didn't understand how valuable they were. And when I started getting involved in understanding and learning the importance of it, it made a huge difference, not only in um, the numbers that I was doing and hitting and accomplishing, but in how much more I was taking home as well. Right. And so it really also kind of allows you to project and forecast, and it helps you to not take things so personal many times. Because if you really know what numbers you need to accomplish your goals, it no longer becomes, oh, I suck as a real estate agent, or I don't know what I'm doing, or any of those things. It allows you to really see where your business is at right now and where you need to go, because you can really evaluate and determine what you need to focus on and where to spend that money. And it helps you better understand where you should be spending your marketing dollars and your efforts, right? And it truly helps you stay on track with your goals. So, do you know any of these numbers now? And if you guys do, I encourage you to, maybe plug some of them into the chat box, or you can just make a note of this yourself. But do you know how many units you've actually closed? Now, the funny thing is I can always tell when people don't really know their numbers, because it doesn't take very many questions. And when you start asking people questions and they him and haw and I think and about and maybe and sort of, well, I'm not sure, those kinds of things, I know that they're not tracking their numbers. And again, there's nothing wrong with not doing it. The best time to start doing it is now, right? Kind of like, when was the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. So if you're new or newer in this business, I encourage you to really start tracking this now. And if you've been around for a while, again, the next best time is to start it now, right? So what is your net average per closing each month? And we're going to dig in deep into some of these numbers. So don't feel like you have to write all this down. Again, this will also be recorded so you guys can go back and play it, one or 100 times. What is your gross average per closing, right? Per month and year to date? What is your total net commission? Meaning, what are you taking home after expenses with your broker, paying taxes, some of those things, right? What is your total gross commission? Meaning, what is the gross number before you deduct broker splits and before you deduct additional like TC fees and some of those things? What is that gross number? And what is that net number? And if any of you guys don't understand some of the language that I'm using, which keep in mind is very normal, right? If you haven't done this before, don't hesitate to post in the chat and I'll be sure to respond or dig deeper in it. What is your average sales price? And again, these numbers are all going to make sense when I dig more deeper into them. But if you don't know those numbers, I encourage you, and I'm going to provide you guys some forms that are also available inside both of the groups, both Real Estate Success Strategies and Accountability and our EXP family group. If you simply go to the files section in Facebook, these forms are all available in there as well. Okay. So what systems and processes do you currently have in place to track those numbers, right? Like, where is your business coming from? Is it coming from advertising? Is it coming from database? Where's your business coming from? What is your closing percentage? Meaning, how many leads do you have to generate to actually do a deal, right? How many of those leads do you have to generate to get a certain amount of appointments? Again, this is all really important stuff that you're going to want to be tracking. How many leads have you generated? What is your conversion rate? How many leads do you need to generate to get X amount of deals in escrow? All really important stuff that's good for you guys to know and can help you in projecting and moving forward in your business. Okay. So keep in mind, if you are wanting now, when I did this presentation originally, it was a while ago. So some of these numbers are a little bit outdated when it comes to actual transactions and the amount of your average commission. But we also, again, have people from around the country. So while we are a little bit lucky here in California with high sales prices, we've had people in, South Dakota and Arkansas and some of those where sales prices are lower, average commission is lower. So if you want to make $100,000 a year, again, you can double or, make whatever these numbers are, whatever your average is in your market, you can use these numbers to recalculate. But if you think about this, if you want to, on average, make $100,000 a year, that means you're making $8,333 a month before commission splits and expenses. Okay. Now, some of you who have come from maybe state jobs or government jobs or regular W-2 type jobs may not completely understand the difference between being self-employed and having an employer. One of my favorite books of all time is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which really dives into explaining the difference and how vitally important it is. So if you have not read that book, get it on audio, get it, however you want to get it, but I encourage you to get that book, okay? So in order to make $100,000 a year gross, okay, again, we're talking gross versus net, that means you would need to have 25 closings per year or $4,000 average commission. Again, if you're in maybe here locally in the Sacramento area and the average commission might be $10,000 instead of $4,000, you don't have to close as many houses, right? But many of you guys have never lived in a down market or a challenging market. So I encourage you to pay close attention to these numbers because while it's fantastic right now that we have high sales prices, for some of you that have never lived in a challenging market, your numbers could change pretty dramatically. So again, in order to close 25 transactions a year at an average of $4,000 commission, that would mean 25 transactions a year, right? Or 50 transactions if you want to make 200 or 300,000, 75 transactions, et cetera, et cetera. And this breaks down how many transactions you would have to close per month to make that number. Again, recalculate if your average commission is higher, or how many transactions you have to close each week. So if we look at this, to make $100,000 a year equals $8,333 a month. How many deals is that for you to make $100,000 a year? And how many deals do you have to have in escrow to close 2 deals a month? I encourage you to really go through your own personal numbers and run these calculations. So again, this breaks down to $100,000 a year. Per month is $8,333. Per week, $1,920. Per day, 5 days, $384 or $48 an hour. So are you guys doing $10 an hour work? Are you doing $48 an hour work, right? How much work, time, and energy are you putting in to your business? And or could you be in a situation where you should maybe be hiring somebody to do $15 an hour work for you instead of you doing that work? So if you're on the fence whether you need an assistant or not, most of you on this call are brand new, so you're not really in a place yet where you need an assistant. But if the time comes to where you're doing 15 to 18 deals a year, it might be time to hire somebody at $15 an hour to do work that you are currently doing. Does that make sense? So let's break it down. Again, what's your average commission? Maybe in this situation, it's $5,000. How many deals do you have to do per month, right? Means you'd have to do 2 deals a month. Average split of 70-30 would mean $7,000 would be your net after you have paid your broker. Let's say that you have expenses of $1,000 a month, taxes of $2,000. means that you got to break it down a little differently, right? The interesting thing is that agents always underestimate what it costs and overestimate what they make, right? So, on average, the average real estate agent across the country, according to Top Producer years ago, said that the average agent to 6 transactions a year. And, if you break that down, and they also said that the average agent only spent $500 in expenses a month. I can tell you personally that that doesn't even cover really a cell phone and your gas for the month, right? The way expenses are going. So, are you tracking those expenses? It's tax time. So, hopefully, you guys are all calculating what your actual cost of doing business is. And if you're not, a couple things to keep in mind is that you may want to actually open a separate checking account that is specifically for your business. And in that account is where you deposit money and where you spend money simply for your business. So if you think about it like this, if you guys went to work for Taco Bell today and you were at the cash register, and I go up and I buy 10 tacos, and let's say that's $10, that money goes into the cash register. Then the company spends money on, all the materials and all the food and stuff. They spend money on expenses for you as an employee. They spend money on buildings and all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, drops out a tiny pile of profit. Okay. So as a business owner, that's the way you really need to start looking at your business. You take your gross commissions, you put them into your bank account, then you expend all of your money, your expenses, costs of doing business. You set aside money for taxes, and what's left over is a check that you get to write to your personal budget. Most agents do it reverse. They write a check to their personal budget, then they go, oh crap, I forgot I have to pay taxes. Okay. Oh crap, I forgot I have expenses. They blend all that money in and they don't really know what their business looks like or if it's even profitable. Most real estate agents owe money to IRS and are operating in the red, meaning operating at a negative. So pay close attention to that, right? So again, let's break it down a little bit. If you want to close 2 deals a month, you have to have on average 8 in contract. Why do I say that? Because if you put 8 in contract this month, they're not all going to close this month. Some will close next month. Some might cancel. Some might roll over. Maybe something closes early, but odds are you're not going to close 8 in that month. In order to have 8 in contract, you need to have 18 active clients. That means 18 buyers and sellers, right? That you are helping at various stages of the real estate process. Okay. In order to get 18 active clients, you need to have 54 appointments. You guys are all going to think I'm smoking crack. These numbers are crazy, but they're not that crazy. Okay. Meaning that you also need to be generating on average 100 leads a month. Now, where do those leads come from? Well, they should be coming from 3 different areas. We've talked about this in other classes, so I encourage you guys to go watch some of the other recordings. But how does that break down? The average conversion rate of advertising leads or online leads is 100 to 1, meaning if you generate 100 leads, you're going to have 1 closed piece of business. Okay. The conversion rate is very low for internet leads. The truth is, most of you are not tracking your leads. Okay. Where do your business leads come from? On average, you're going to convert 10 to 1. Okay. Every 10 referrals that you get from business networks and business connections, such as your BNI network, maybe your lender, your business plan, your financial advisors, that kind of thing. Your database is the best one ever. I know I'm a broken record when I talk about your database, but it's the most valuable thing you own. And these are people that know you, like you, and trust you. And the conversion rate is very high, 3 to 1. Isn't that what we all want, right? So where should you be spending your time? Most of you are spending your time looking for advertising people. You're not necessarily looking for business referrals or database. And again, I encourage you to go back and watch some of the other trainings I've done where I talk about how to get business from this, okay? So these are a few different ways that you can track your business. And I'm going to dig into these a little bit. And I encourage you guys to watch this recording tonight a few times. Again, these forms are all available inside the Facebook groups. Your success tracker, which we'll talk about here in just a second, is what you do, your daily activities every week. What do you do every day? So let's talk about that, and we'll come back to Gold Tracker in just a moment. On the success tracker, for example, are you making outbound calls? Now, I saw a whole group of you guys who are doing a 30-day sprint, a 30-day challenge. And so you're tracking your habits and your activities, right? And so are you making 10 outbound calls a day? Now, we're not going to dig into where to get these people or how to make these calls tonight, because this is more about knowing your numbers, but I've done lots of trainings on this. Okay. So, are you making 10 outbound calls a day? If not, how many are you making? What I can tell you is if you will make 10 outbound calls a day, you will get business. There's no way you cannot get business from it. Okay. And I track every call I make in a day. So I know that I make 10 outbound calls a day, which enables me to do 30 to 50 transactions a year. Last year I did less because I did 31 transactions last year, but it was a COVID year and I was dealing with breast cancer. So I didn't do as much business as I normally do. The bottom line is I still did 30 deals in a COVID year and going through breast cancer treatment. So if I can do it, you can. And I did all of it from my database, the majority of it. Okay. So if you're making your 10 outbound calls a day, your success is much higher. Also, how many? I know we're restricted right now with COVID, but are you doing in-person meetings? Are you getting out there and connecting with people? Are you going and visiting builders? Are you doing open houses? Again, we're restricted on some of this, but what are you doing to get in front of people on a daily basis? And ideally, in the perfect world, that would be 2 to 4 people a day you're getting in front of. People are like, you're crazy. How am I going to do that? Well, one thing you might have learned from my previous class is I've also learned how to get in front of groups of people, which can consolidate your time, right? You can do home buyer workshops, do lunch and learns for local businesses, lots of different ways to get in front of groups of people. The next one talks about breaking bread. Breaking bread is where you're really taking that relationship to the next level, right? Because if I just meet you and I do a client appointment with you, the relationship is at one level. But if I actually go out to dinner with you or go have lunch, where odds are we're going to talk more about your family, your personal life. We're going to deepen that relationship, which ultimately leads to more referrals and deeper connections. Okay. Other things that you can do are what kind of events are you attending? Again, I know we're restricted, but are you attending your local association events? Are you going to networking events? Are you going to charity events? Are you finding ways to attend events and organizations? Could be things like BNI, ways that you can get business. In other words, are you literally putting 40 hours active a week in your business? Or are you just kind of here and there willy-nillying it, right? If I were to hire you today and pay you $100,000 a year to do business, and I were to follow you around with a camera, and at the end of the month, it's time for me to write you your check for $8,333, would you have earned it? Okay. So be in charge of you. You are the boss of you. In other words, are you willing to write yourself a check for $8,333 based on your performance over the last 30 days? So this is a way to really look at your business like a business. How many leads did you actually generate this week? And we're going to talk about tracking leads. Did you actually spend a certain amount of time prospecting? How much time did you spend prospecting? Have you written any thank you cards or handwritten notes, right? Have you done any mailers? Have you mailed to your database, both snail mail and email? And then we kind of utilize this to come up with a point system. You can create your own point system to track how you are doing in your business. Okay. So for those of you who were doing the 30-day challenge and tracking your habits, this is a way to actually track the habits in your business as opposed to also tracking stuff that you're tracking in your personal life. On your habit tracker form, you can do all of it. This is really just tracking what you're doing in your business. Okay. And so again, when you really look at this, this gives you some indication of how you're doing on your success tracker each week. So as I mentioned, talk tos, these are some lots of different ways to talk to people. You can do update calls for your transactions in process. You can find your top 50 people that are in your database and reaching out to them. Annual review calls. I'm going to actually do a whole class on this and how valuable annual review calls are. But annual review calls can actually be calling people that you've done business with before or not and saying, hey, it's time to review the financial status of your home, kind of like you would do with your financial advisor, right? It doesn't mean I'm here to sell your home. It means let's talk about what the value is compared to 2 years ago or a year ago when you bought your home. People love this call, right? Doing 30, 60, 90-day calls, meaning every 30 days, checking in with people. Are you calling old leads? You can go back through your old leads and call people from 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I know that in my KV core, I have close to 2,000 leads in there. So I've been going and calling 10 to 20 of those a day. And some will say, oh, we already bought a house. And that really sucks, right? Or some say, I'm actually ready to get going again. I just talked to a lead today that 4 years ago was looking to buy a home. And she's just kicking herself that she didn't do it 4 years ago. But now she's ready to get going again, right? Power hour. Sit down and take 1 hour. Get together with 3 or 4 friends and all get together in a room with a big bell and make calls so that when you get a good lead, you can ring the bell. It gets you all excited, right? These are some great ways to generate business. I know we can't get in a room together right now. Well, some of you can, but you could also all to get together on a Zoom call, right? And make calls, where you can all get together. Calling your conversion leads or for sale by owners or expireds. These are all great ways to make calls and reach out. Getting in together in person was another thing on there. Doing showing appointments with your buyers count, listing appointments count. That's when you're face to face in front of people. Open houses, door knocking. Again, be COVID compliant right now, but this is all stuff that you can. I've found people getting really creative with things like open houses, putting signs out that say appointment only and scheduling appointments, right, from their cell phone. Reaching out to business people, right? This is a great opportunity to reach out to your heat and air people, your carpet people, your carpet cleaner people, right? Contractors, plumbers. I mean, there's a million business financial advisors, CPAs. You could call your database and say, hey, guess what? I am looking for some referrals to a great tax advisor. Do people need tax advisors right now? Yes. You can call your database and put together a list of 10 or 12 tax advisors and then call those tax people and say, hey, I know you're really busy. Are you looking for referrals? I've got people that are always asking me for tax advisors. Like I called my financial advisor today to ask for a tax attorney because I need someone to talk to me about how to move my money in the best ways that I can do it to hopefully not pay as much in taxes, right? For any of you that are with EXP, our stock has gone crazy, which is a great thing, but it's also like, how can I, do some strategy when it comes to what I'm going to pay in capital gains and taxes. So it's a great phone call you could do to your database to come up with, hey, do you know a good tax advisor or tax attorney or, somebody like that? I know personally, I'm looking for someone that can help me with the self-directed IRA. So I've been calling my database and say, hey, who do you know? Do you guys know anybody who knows how to handle self-directed IRAs? Then that could be a phone call back to my database. Hey guys, guess what? I found 3 or 4 great names. If you need a good tax person, this is a great way to call your database. Okay. Breaking bread. This is again where you can share food with the same list. Lunch appointments, coffee appointments, or my favorite, cocktail appointments. Happy hour. That's my favorite right now. So as soon as those bars and restaurants open up, some of them are opening in my area, I'm doing happy hour appointments. This is a great way to, again, deepen those relationships. What kind of events are you attending? Leveraged marketing, BNI, training seminars, meetup groups. Lots of ways to get creative. Again, if I'm paying you by the hour, $50 an hour, how many of you are going to start getting creative on ways to find some of these people that you can do things with, right? Anyone you talk to about real estate is considered a lead generated. So some of you asked earlier today, what do I say if I'm calling my database? You can use a simple script called family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, or Ford. And you can have those conversations with people, right? On, hey, how are things going with your family? What's new with you? I can guarantee you that almost always the conversation will come up with, hey, I understand you're in real estate. How are things going? Right? Perfect opportunity for you to say, by the way, here's how things are going. I would love to chat with you. Right? So these are some great ways. How many hours have you prospected? How much time did you spend in front of referral partners? How much time did you spend in front of clients? How many hours on the phone did you spend setting appointments? Start tracking this. Again, sending out thank you cards, handwritten cards to prospects, past clients, etc. I use a great program called Send Out Cards. You guys can check that out if you like, and it can actually send cards to your database. Pretty cool. Mailers, what can you send to your database? Well, you can send simple letters of the heart. You can see examples of mine on margueritecrespillo.com on my blog. Evidence of success postcards. Create little stories about how you have helped people. This is a great way that you can send out. Sending out just listed, just sold. Monthly newsletters. These are all great mailers that you can send out. Okay. All right, let's talk about Gold Tracker. This is where you actually track every lead that you receive. And I mean every lead. That means if somebody calls you off a sign, even if they say they have a real estate agent, take some of their information and write it down as a lead. Not because you want to follow up with them and do business with them, but if you are generating leads and calls from your advertising that you're doing or from wherever they're coming from, you want to be able to track that. If you're running an ad, you want to know that you got 10 leads off of that ad, because here's how it works. If you run an ad, what is the point of running an ad? Who can answer the question in the chat? What is the point of running an ad? I know some of you have been on my training, so let's see it. Who knows? What is the point of running an ad? It's to get the phone to ring, right? Okay, what is the point and of once you pick up the phone? The point once you pick up the phone is to get an appointment. Make an appointment. Good job. So if you get the phone to ring and you're not making appointments, what's the problem? You, which means that you have to work on your skill training. Okay, it doesn't mean you suck as a human being. It just means you have to work on skill training of what to say and how to convert those people. So the point of an ad is to get the phone to ring. The phone rings. The point is to get an appointment. When you get an appointment, if you do not convert them into a transaction, and if you are not getting appointments or getting clients, then we have to work on skill training. And that's where it becomes really simple. If you come to me and you say, I'm really struggling with my business, I'm going to say, well, how many leads have you generated? And if you say none, I'm going to say, go back and learn how to generate leads, right? If you learn how to generate leads and you come to me and you say, Marguerite, I've gotten 25 leads and I'm not getting appointments, I'm going to say, guess what? We need to work on skill training on how we can help you learn to convert those leads better, right? If you're getting appointments and you're not converting them to clients, again, we know where to focus our time, energy, and resources. That's the beauty of knowing your numbers, okay? And so on this gold tracker, you're going to track every month and year, name. You're going to track where your business is actually coming from. What are your goals? How many different leads do you want to get, and where do you want your business to come from? Okay. And then how many leads are you actually generating and where are they coming from? So you guys want to know what these mean. It means CCR is a current client referral. This is someone that's been referred by a client you are currently working with. A past client referral, somebody who's been referred to you by someone you've worked with in the past, a past client, a personal friend. Advertising, I suggest if you track your advertising, you would put ad-Zillow, ad-Parkbench, ad-Facebook, whatever it is, wherever you're advertising, so you know where that business comes from. Business associate, this is where I would also put business-lender, Bob Smith at Heat and Air, business safe company. Like my husband and I went and looked at safes today to put in our home. And I actually started talking to the guy and I'm like, hey, you guys do rekeys a lot. If you ever have anybody that's looking to rekey their home that's thinking about buying or selling a home, it'd be awesome if you could refer me. He's like, oh, as a matter of fact, I do know somebody, right? AR or annual reviews, miscellaneous, this is a lead that for whatever reason could not be classified, but what I promise you is almost always you can figure out where they came from, okay? So again, when you start putting these down, where did they come from? Who is the lead? Where did they from? What's the source? What is the result of the call? Did you refer them to a lender? Did they say they already have an agent? What is their phone number? Can anybody tell me what the average amount of times an agent actually follows up with a lead is? I'll tell you, the average time is one. How many times should you follow up until they tell you don't call me ever again? Right? But it should be really 7 to 10 times. You should be calling, following up, texting, email, Facebook message them. I don't care what you have to do. But the fortune is in the follow up. The real money, you guys, is in the follow up. So, again, if I'm paying you $48 an hour every day or more, let's say you want to make 200, that's $100 an hour. Are you worth what you want to make? If you're not putting in the time, energy, and resources, how do you expect to make 100 to 300,000 a year? So again, you're going to put all this information. You're going to circle the number if they're a good lead, meaning somebody you want to follow up with. Okay. You're going to put a hash over here if they're a dead lead. You're going to line through them. Now, even on dead leads, you guys, I still keep those. Unless I say I have a real estate agent, 9 times out of 10, they're not telling the truth. But many times I will follow up with them and continue to follow up with them. So you can see examples here. Did you set an appointment? When are you going to follow up? How many times did you call them? Where did they come from, right? So if you get an appointment with them, you're going to place an X in this box, meaning that you've set an appointment. If you put them into contract, you're either going to say listing buyer, buyer broker agreement, or C, meaning they went into escrow contract, right? If you actually close that transaction, you're going to put a little star there. So guess what this information can start to tell me, right? It can tell me how many appointments did you, how many leads did you get? How many appointments did you get? How many people did you put into contract? How many deals did you close? If you actually knew those numbers on your business, could you completely direct where and how you're doing? In other words, if you want to make more money next year, what would you need to do? Generate more leads, learn how to convert leads better, right? Get more people in contract. All of that can really help you dramatically. So this can start to tell you what your closing percentage is on transactions. Okay. So this starts to give us some numbers that tell us how you're doing. Kind of like a batting average, right? What's a great batting average? 300. 300 means that they've been to bat 10 times, but they've only hit the ball 3 out of 10 times. Anybody that has a 300 batting average, it makes millions of dollars a year. So, how are you doing? What's your batting average in real estate? Okay. And if you know those numbers, you can get paid way, way more than you're currently getting paid now. Okay, this is another tracking form that you can use in your business. This one is my favorite one of all time. This is Gold Strike, which basically tells me how I'm doing with my closings. It tells me, oops, hold on, I didn't come back to this one. On this one, this tells me how many transactions, where I'm at, and what I'm doing with each transaction. Meaning, if you put somebody in contract today, what's their name? What's the property address? What's your gross commission? What is your net commission? What is the sales price? And where did that business come from? So this form is for people who are currently in contract or closing. I encourage you guys to do this every single month, this one. I know, for example, what I have on track this month and what I have on track for next month. So if you have nothing on track for this month, what do you have to do? You got to get your hiney in gear, right? So this is an easy to use one-page form. So what you're going to do is you're going to complete this form every single month. I would encourage you to print out 12 of them and have them in a binder that you have ready for the whole year. So even if you don't close any deals, you're going to put a big fat zero there, which really sucks, right? Like I hate putting big red fat zeros on my Gold Strike every month. It drives me crazy. What it does for me is I'm competitive, so it motivates me to get my hiney in gear, right? So again, you're going to put the estimated close date. You're going to put the property address and client name if you like. What is the gross? What's the net? What's the sales price? And where did that source come from? Okay. So if the deal rolls over to the next month, you're going to line through it and you're not going to delete it or erase it. You're going to line through it and roll it to the next month. If the deal closes early, which we love those, doesn't happen very often, but if they close early, you're going to roll it to the previous month. If it cancels for any reason, you're going to line through it and put cancel. And then you're going to move all of these down to the bottom so that you can see your averages, right? Your gross commission, your net commission, how many you've closed year to date, right? So this is all pretty amazing information that you can use. So for example, let me stop sharing for a moment because we went through this pretty quickly. And I want to show you guys what my personal one looks like. I showed you guys a little bit of it last year, but I'll show you actually last year's. Okay, so here's mine from last year. This is January 2020. You can see that in January, I had a big fat goose egg, a 0. It really irritated me. So I got my butt in gear and I ended up closing 3 in the month of February. As you can see, I had one from a business connection, one from Adzilla, one from Ad Sign Call. Here was my gross. Here's my net, right? And this is how you can see the breakdown. Then we went to March. March kept hustling, right? Closed 6. April, May, I really started kicking it into gear, right? There's June, July. Look what happened in July, August, okay? September, I had a goose egg. October, I'll give myself a little break. I was diagnosed with breast cancer here in May. I didn't work most of July and August, so I had a goose egg in September. But I closed a couple in October, got going again, had a busy November, December, had an awesome month because I closed some big deals, right? And so for the year, I ended up closing 30.25 transactions for the year. My gross commissions at 389,000, net 284, net average 9,400 per transaction. So this gives you kind of some indication of how important it is, you guys, to really track these numbers, right? And helps you see where you're at and what you're doing. So for me next year, I don't need to close more deals. I can do one of two things. I can increase my sales price, right? To do a higher commission or higher transactions. I could increase my commissions. For those of you who are cutting commissions, whatever you do, I encourage you to really learn how to work on that skill because you don't necessarily need to sell more houses. You need to learn how to protect the hard-earned money that you make. You know, here's the thing. We're in a crazy market and it looks really easy to sell houses. Houses sell in a couple days. What I tell people is anybody can sell a house. Not everybody can close them. So if you have a high cancellation rate or you have a lot of issues that are coming up in your transactions, understanding the skill it takes to close deals better and solve problems earlier on can help you close more deals and not have to work nearly as hard. So again, I'm not going to throw you in front of the bus, but I'm going to talk about one particular person who quickly offered to reduce her commission dramatically when they had not even been asked. Okay. And I say it with love because I want you to learn how to protect how hard you guys work and really calculate how much time, energy, and resources you put into a client before you ever get paid. Remember, we get paid on results, not time, right? And so think about how much time, energy, and resources you have put into a particular client and what you actually ended up at the end of the day with. Okay. So hopefully that answers some questions. You guys have some questions about what we just went through. I know we went through it really quickly, but I encourage you guys to start tracking these numbers and paying attention. You can start today by printing out your gold strike for the whole year, putting your transactions that you closed in January, if you closed anything, what you have on the books for February, March, April, and you're going to put them on your tracker for the month they're scheduled to close. So for example, if you have put somebody in contract that's a brand new home and it's not going to close till August, you would put that transaction on your tracker for the month of August. Does that make sense? Okay. I know you guys got to have some questions. I went through that really quickly. Any questions?
I'm going to start tracking my numbers. It's completely, it's absolutely vital to track your
Absolutely.
numbers.
How long have you been in business?
I got my license back in August, but I formally actually started, you know, taking time to take this seriously January 1st.
Oh, you're brand new. Good for you.
Brand new, yeah.
What company are you with?
Keller Williams.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good. I see some guitars background, or do you actually have a guitar?
I do, yeah. I'm a musician also, so I have like a recording studio and everything back there. Yeah.
So, congratulations on real estate. And if you have any questions or need any help, please let me know, and I'm happy to help you out. Somebody asked Carmen if I do have them on Excel instead of PDF. Yes, I can post those in the group as well. But I do encourage you guys. With that said, I encourage you guys to hand write these. Why? Because there is something significant about actually handwriting it. And when you have to make a big fat red circle with your own handwriting, when you actually have to pull out your calculator and calculate those numbers, there's a different switch it flips in your brain. I don't know how to describe it, but it does. So yes, I will send them out. I will post them in the group with the Excel spreadsheet. But again, I encourage you guys to print them out and write them for a while. So all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Daniel, welcome. I don't think I've seen your face here before, so I'm glad you were able to join us. Not sure who referred you here, but I'm happy you're here. And I think most everybody on here, except for a couple of you, are all pretty new. So don't hesitate to reach out. You guys can private message me, Facebook me, send me a cell phone question. And you guys, if you don't have my number, I'll post it right here. It's 916-996-3777. And yes, I've had that phone number since my very first day in real estate. So, which was 27 years ago, and we didn't even have cell phones. I think I got my cell phone in 1995 or six or something before some of you guys were born, embarrassingly enough. So, all right, you guys have a fantastic evening. This is recorded and will be posted on YouTube and in our groups in the next 24 to 48 hours. Have a great night.